So, welcome to the networking session one, which focuses on recent trends and technology in renewable energy and water. This session provides a discussion platform to exhibitors and attendees to share specific areas in which they are seeking tangible collaboration around the sustainability. As we have been discussing, the focus areas in the sustainability and the sustainable development. Out of these areas, this session is more focused on renewable energy and water resources. So this session has four panelists representing the organization with the focus area of renewable energy and water. They will make a very short presentation on well-defined areas to start the conversations around the tangible collaborations and networking with the attendees. Uh, and after the presentation by the panelists, we will open the floor for comments and Q&A from attendees. So request attendees to post your questions, comments throughout the session using Q&A, and we will take up these questions in a discussion. So with this, it's my great pleasure to introduce the panel. Start with Ashok. Start with Dr. Akash Dauda. Let me just make sure that all panelists has joined. I see Akash here.
Yeah, Narayan, I'm present. Thank you.
Yeah, I see Akash here. Mr. Srinivas is here. Professor Manvita is here, and yeah,
Jayanathan.
yeah, Mr. Jainath is also there. Perfect. So let me quickly introduce the panelists now. May I request panelists to switch on their camera? That would be great. Yeah. So start with the introduction of Dr. Akash Dauda. He is presently working as a scientist E2 in renewable energy, environment, and energy efficiency research wing at Gujarat Energy Research and Management Institute, Gandhinagar. Then we have a second panelist, Mr. Srinivas Cherla. He is an engineer and a business graduate by qualification and an entrepreneur by profession. He has over 9 years of industry experience in product design and development both in the US and India. Before he turned into an entrepreneur, started working on developing technology solutions for energy sector. Their startup, Sustain Impact, works with IIM Ahmedabad and IIT Gandhinagar on DSN project titled Prosumer-Driven Integrated Smart Grid, focus on developing a blockchain platform for automatic demand response and peer-to-peer energy trading. Next panelist, Professor Manvita Barari. Professor Manvita Barari is the founder director of Urban Management Center, an organization, Urban Management Center, an organization working towards professionalizing urban management in India and in South Asia. Since May 2013, she is the professor and dean of the Faculty of Management at the SEPT University and has set up a 2-year post-graduation program in urban management. Then fourth panelist, Mr. Jayanathan Karunanidhi. He represents the India Office of International Water Association based in Chennai. IWA is a global membership association for water professionals, headquartered in London with a legacy of more than 70 years. He is an alumni of NIT Trichy with his interest in modeling wastewater treatment plants. So with very brief introduction of these four panelists, I would now request the panelists to start the quick presentation as I mentioned in my opening remarks. So start with Dr. Akash Dauda. I would request Akash Dauda to make a short presentation, please. Akash, your mic is, you are muted. Akash?
Yeah, thank you. I'm audible, right?
Yeah, you are audible and your
Yeah.
screen is also
So
visible. Yeah.
great. So good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Naran, for introducing me. As you said, I'm Dr. Akash. I work as a senior scientist, and I also head the Renewable Trainings division at Jermi. Jermi stands for Gujarat Energy Research and Management Institute. As I understand, I'm given around 3 minutes, so I'll be keeping short and brief. Just one slide to show the overview. Like Jermi is promoted by Gujarat State Petroleum Corporation, a state PSU. We are a non-for-profit organization. We fall under Energy and Petrochemical Department of Government of Gujarat. We are a society under trust, and we are recognized by DSIR as Scientific and Industrial Research Organization. We are also a Schedule 1 environmental auditor and energy auditors, and we are also an ISO certified institute. So quickly, we work in capacity building activities, and the following areas are our core areas. We have been doing training since more than 10 years now. So our core areas are first is renewable energy, especially solar energy. Second is electric vehicles, and within these two areas, we do training programs, we do training of trainers, and we also do training of master trainers. Other areas where we have started to work recently is energy storage and smart cities, where we have started imparting trainings. And the stakeholders for which we do these trainings are solar installers, entrepreneurs, startups, discom engineers, government officials, professional students, and faculties. So we cover almost entire spectrum of the value chain of a particular sector. We are in center of excellence for renewable energy under Skill Council for Green Jobs and MNRE. And what we do under the Renewable Energy Center of Excellence is, yes, Naran.
Akash, could you please go to the presentation? Looks like
Oh, this is. Can you see the screen? Or
I can see the screen, but it's not in a presentation mode. Anyway, let us proceed. No issues.
okay, fine.
No
Uh,
issues.
Yeah. So under the Renewable Energy Center of Excellence, what we do is we do various trainings, we do pilot projects, we do demonstrations, and we see there would be a lot of maintenance issues coming in with the deployment of so much of rooftop solar. So we want to develop an entire value chain for solar O&M ecosystem. And we have also proposed the Center of Excellence for electric vehicles, where we would be taking care of skilling, policy, pilot projects, and demonstrations. Pilot projects and demonstrations in the sense we want to demonstrate uh, how the charging infrastructure can be developed, what is a charging station, how can renewables be integrated with the charging station. And one more thing I would like to highlight here is that Jeremy acts as a technical backbone for government of Gujarat in framing policies. So the solar energy policy of 2015 and 2020 are framed by Jeremy. We have also drafted the electric vehicle policy for Gujarat state, and within a month or two it should be out. So we have gathered a lot of knowledge for policy framing. Our research interest, the main thing here is we are interested in battery storage, especially utility scale. We have a 1 megawatt plant right in our campus for multi-technology photovoltaics, and we have proposed a battery storage system there. So we need to understand, the grid stability issues. Then we are also interested in microgrids. We have done one in Ranchi, Jharkhand. We are interested in business models in e-mobility sector, EV charging station placements, and we do a lot of skill gap surveys for various sectors, especially renewables and electric vehicle sectors. And so how can we collaborate in these areas of interest which are to Germany? One is we do a lot of MOU, we do a lot of agreements with various organizations, with various individuals who want to work with Germany. And second is we can do a joint proposal submission uh, in the areas of anything in renewable energy and electric vehicle space. We would be happy to submit a joint proposal. And also there are a lot of internship opportunities at Germany. So for students who are interested, they can always apply. So I think this was my presentation. I wanted to keep it brief just to show what are the areas of interest. So thank you, and we'll be taking up questions and discussions in the following session. Thank you, Dr. Maran.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Akash, for a quick presentation. I would request now Mr. Srinivas to have a very short presentation to open up a discussion, please.
Okay. Just let me know once you're able to see my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, a very good morning to all the participants and to the esteemed panelists. I'm Srinivas Charla, and I'm representing the startup Sustain Impact. We started off somewhere in 2017, and we primarily focus on technology products for energy sector. And we have, as Professor Naran already indicated, we have worked with IIM Ahmedabad and IIT Kanpur on developing a few projects for demand side.
मेरी बैग लेता हूँ मैं नानू असले
And the background behind this is that the energy ecosystem itself is undergoing a major transition, wherein there's a lot of, variation dynamics coming in from renewable energy and from demand supply variations, and the needs for digitization of utilities are quite obvious. And from the consumer side as well, there's increasing expectations for more reliable energy, lower cost energy, more greener energy. And so we come in somewhere in the cusp of all of that, wherein we are trying to develop consumer-centric solutions, technology-driven solutions for helping the transition to a clean and transactive energy ecosystem. So where we, as Professor Naran indicated, we are looking at a few collaboration areas with academia, as we are working at with upcoming technologies which are yet to mature. For instance, blockchain, AI/ML, they're constantly upgrading, constantly evolving segments. We are certainly looking for research opportunities, collaboration opportunities with academia at the fringes of these technologies, right? Of course, we do ourselves have enterprise level product development background, so we can assess the maturity of those technologies and see if they can fit the stability requirements and the performance requirements of enterprises. Okay, so we are looking at collaborations in the areas of automated demand response. We are working, or we are constantly in discussions with utilities on a couple of use cases around substation and feeder level energy metering and reconciliation, where we understand that industry is facing a lot of issues. We are working on data analytics and primarily targeting areas like asset health monitoring, load demand monitoring functions, which are more rule-based as opposed to decision-making, wherein there will be a lot of human intervention. Okay, so these are more closer to where industry can readily accept solutions. We're also working on say areas in, such as opportunities such as retrofitting of existing energy meters to smart energy meters using IoT technologies. And of course, we are in collaboration with IIT Gandhinagar on vehicle-to-grid demonstration technologies. So these are some of the areas that we are seeking collaborations, and would welcome any interested parties to get in touch with us. You can reach out to me either on my mobile or the email srinivas@sustainimpact.com. Thanks, Dr. Naran. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivas. With this, I now request Professor Manvita to kindly present her views on the urban development side.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Naran, and it's a pleasure to be talking to you all. Are my slides visible?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thanks so much. Okay, so I'm Manvita Baradi. I'm the director of the Urban Management Center, and the name suggests we dwell with working with on urban issues with city, state, and center governments. We are a non-profit organization, and we've been around 25 years plus. And our main focus is where we believe that city governments require a lot of innovations and require support in delivering their functions. They are mandated to do it, but they require support from professionals as well. So we created this organization, and we're working in collaboration with other development sector organizations here. Our main challenge, which I would like to share today with you, is a grey water management system. As you all have probably heard the keynote addresses, which revolve, and they our panelists very aptly put it, that there are policies, there are systems, a lot innovation needs to happen. And we as an organization believe that management is to the core. Technology exists, but not in the way we would want to apply in our scenario. So I'm going to walk you through a scenario in Gujarat, where what we have found, and here we need your collaboration. So what we have found is there is unsafe disposal, open discharge without treatment into open grounds and water bodies. Probably you all know there are multiple discharge points, and this requires cost-effective solutions. BOD and COD ranges are high, and I have a screen here shot which of a sample which we got it done, which provides you understanding that though the villages say even 15,000 people, there are multiple discharge points, and hence the technology solution becomes extremely important. There are sudden variations in BOD concentrations because sometimes daily operations or discharge of septic during off-peak hours come in. There's lack of treatment infrastructure at the villages, and technologies for scales, as I mentioned, in rural areas are absent. Lack of low-cost, mature nature-based treatment options are also not possible here because of the fluctuations in which the grey water comes in. If you understand the scenario here in Gujarat villages, there are black water is carried on a pipe type network, but grey water is allowed to be flowing in the open drains. Now that's a big hazard, and we need to recognize that. You can see here in photographs that this is a common site, and these discharges flow into our rivers and create water-borne diseases, and we ultimately drink this water. So it is a hazard for us as well. Now, if you see what kind of technology options we have looked at, say biological or natural processes, we look at phyto technology, soil biotechnology, and we have listed here. There are also mechanical processes we've listed here. However, the natural processes, as I mentioned, has not helped because of the scale at which the villages in Gujarat are designed to carry the wastewater load, and that's really to be looked at in detail. Here, the mechanized processes are cost intensive, and rural areas have hardly any grants to support this from the state or the central governments. And of course, their own systems are feeble enough to, afford such costly mechanized processes. The other problem of the natural systems are also that there are multiple points, and it becomes extremely difficult to look at how these solutions could be worked out. So, are there any innovative solutions for treatment of grey water in such a decentralized approach, where we are seeking support from this fraternity? Thank you. I'll stop here. I know I have little time, so you can contact me on our website. You can see more details about what we do, and you can contact me on info@umcasia.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Manavita, for the quick presentation and open up the floor for question activities. I would now request Mr. Jayanathan to have a quick presentation, please.
Thank you. I'll wait for the screen share. I think I need permission to start the screen sharing.
Okay, just a minute.
Sure.
Could you please try now?
Yes, I'll try now.
Yeah.
I hope you can see the screen now.
Yes, screen is clear.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. It's an immense pleasure for me to be here. I am Jayannathan Karunanidhi from International Water Association's Indian office. I'm sure you'd be knowing that IWA is a global water association, which are headquartered in London, but we are in India from 2018, and we have a very good presence here. And me representing the association is in terms of what we can do to work together with universities, industries, NGOs, as well as practitioners, individual practitioners. With respect to the universities, we are currently working with universities like IIT Madras. We are working with VIT Vellore in terms of bringing together, developing joint programs. We are working on that front, and this specific joint programs is more in terms of developing programs that aid capacity development for the water professionals, specifically in public and private utilities. In terms of the academia, we also have a setup called as a specialist group. So within IWA, there are 50 specialist groups that serve niche areas like anaerobic digestion, advanced oxidation processes, water policy with specific to regulation. In terms of other key areas like modeling wastewater treatment plants. So all these niche areas has its own specialist group, and all these specialist group have a list of practitioners and experts whom we can take advantage of. So this goes in two ways. So one, specialist groups aid in uh, pushing the limits of our research in our own institutions through joint collaborations. We welcome joint collaborations and we facilitate joint collaborations with institutes, not only in India, but also abroad in terms of PUB Singapore, KWR Netherlands. So those are the institutions that we work currently. In addition to that, we also work with the industry. So there are very good examples. Our partnership with Chennai Metro Water. Chennai Metro Water is one of the largest water utility in India, and with Chennai Metro Water, we are jointly developing programs for their incoming engineers who come in every year. And this is a program that we are seeking to partner with other utilities, other city water utilities as well in India. In addition to that, we also work with private utilities like L&T, VATech, WABAG. With specific to L&T, we have facilitated programs that allowed us to create a program on non-revenue water management. That is a program that we are currently working on to shape a program for practitioners. In addition to that, we also aid access to the experts, specifically in the domain of water reuse. I'm sure with water reuse becoming a buzzing topic in India, with many water reuse projects coming across India, specifically in Chennai, Bangalore, in Jaipur, and in New Delhi. We are seeing more water reuse projects coming up, and with the present government's initiative, I think the projects are going to go up, which means the need for know-how, the need for a basic training, as well as advanced training in process is very critical. And that's where IWA comes in, because we are able to tap into the network that we have already access to. The 70-year legacy helps us to bring together practitioners and experts from across the world for our specific needs. In addition to that, we also have programs wherein we collaborate with non-governmental organizations. Our partnership with Center for Science and Environment has bringing a lot of opportunities, not only for young water professionals, but also for experienced professionals who want to learn about specific techniques that they want to apply in their own areas. Our specific partnership with Center for Science and Environment in terms of Shit Flow Diagram Week, SFD Week, we call it, and where we focus on non-sewer sanitation, the means to develop these shit flow diagrams for every city that use focus, that use input on the kind of fecal sludge problem that every city has. In fact, that program is happening every year, and we're also collaborating with Center for Science and Environment on various online training programs, both for experienced practitioners as well as the young water professionals. In addition to that, I'll just want to end by saying that this IWA as a platform is providing a very good opportunity for young water professionals who are working in water sector as well as who are researching in water sector, because this is a platform wherein they can take a leapfrog effort in terms of tapping into the other networks that are across the world. And I would want to point a program that we do with the British Deputy High Commission, which is based in Chennai. In fact, we had our first program wherein we brought in the TISS, the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and also experts from UK, wherein we discussed upon the water regulation, the question of water pricing, and also the way forward to develop or contextualize the policies that we have in our country to the greater needs. So I would like to end my presentation by saying that IWA is here in India, quite a vibrant community that we have with access to all the IIT and NIT networks, the key public and private utilities, and also the NGO networks that is already present. So we are open for partnerships. We are open for collaboration to jointly develop new programs that can allow capacity development to happen in water and sanitation sector, which is the key need of the hour. So with this, I thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to more questions in this session, and also I'll be available throughout the day to receive more questions and possible conversations. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So as we understand that this panel is strategically formed to discuss the key challenges around the water and energy nexus, that we can try to address some of the key challenges through the collaboration, industry-academia collaboration, industry-industry collaboration. So that's where now the forum is open to take up these questions to the individual panel member or as the networking session. So the very first question that I would like to pose on behalf of attendee. So what the question is: wastewater treatment with the help of eco-friendly herbal solution and eco-magnetic water descale device, is it really works, and how it can be implemented for a small village wastewater? Maybe this question is more suitable to either Mr. Jayanathan or Professor Manavita. May I request one of the panel member may answer this question?
I would request Professor Manavita to take the lead here.
Thank you. I'll go first. I'll also like to listen to you, Mr. Jayanathan. But the question? Thanks for the question. It is very difficult, as I mentioned, to look at decentralized, low-cost solutions. What you suggested of technologies exist, but when it comes to a village which is 10 to 15,000 population, and there are multiple discharge points. So at that point of time, and the cost effectiveness, because it's not affordable to connect all, make a big plant and then run the system, because one, there is capacity issues, second, the fund problems, and third, the know-how of keeping it running and sustainability of it. So these three problems mar the design and design of even if best technologies are used. So we need a solution which is low cost, which is employable, and which is available easily to be constructed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mr. Jayanathan.
Yes. So with this specific question, I think, as Dr. Manvita rightly said, it is a question of scale and also the choice of appropriate technology for the specific context. In fact, the case studies that we see across India, there are many cases where the choice of technology might not be appropriate, specifically the context. And also the second question is, what do we do about the recurring operation and maintenance issues of these electromechanical systems that we talk about? So that is specifically a problem that we are going to face much more, because now we are constructing more STPs. Now we are increasing our efforts in terms of building more treatment facilities. That is one question. That is one point that we need to keep in mind. And the second point is about the ecosystem, right? There needs to be an ecosystem wherein there is not just the technology suppliers, but also the maintenance consultants are very required. The conservancy workers, what is their level of training, right? That's where I think the capacity development comes in. And the capacity building cannot be a copy paste job from the west, right? It has to be homegrown, it has to be contextualized, and it has to keep in mind the price pressures that many of the urban local bodies face, because many of the ULBs that we have in India, they have a funding crunch, and the choice of technology has to keep in mind of this recurring expenses that we talk about. That is one thing. And the second thing is, in terms of nature based solutions, the application of nature-based solutions cannot be outright in terms of, I mean, it is not a question of whether it is nature-based solution decentralized versus centralized. It is always about the context. I'm sure Dr. Manavita rightly said it is always about the context. And if the ULB is confident of maintaining some of these technologies like SBR, like MBR, so there are many technologies that are coming up, but there are also pinching problems in terms of cost benefit analysis is very much required, Dr. Naren. So with this, I think I'll end my sort of brief answer. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Follow-up question is, can an approach to reuse grey water by inherently connecting grey water pipes to sanitation necessary activities like flushing and cleaning works? I think this question is more suited to Professor Manavita.
Thank you. Yes, the question does mention that what if we, as I probably re-put it, what happens if black water and grey water are connected? Would we have a better system? Yes, for sure, because BOD levels are high. There are low-cost solutions like DWATs, which is decentralized water treatment facilities, and membrane-based, as mentioned earlier as well. Those technologies exist. If we connect black water and grey water, it is possible. But however, in many villages or even peripheral urban local bodies, what has happened is, for black water, either septic tank exists, and the decentralized system like FSM is kind of carried out. That system is separately, but grey water, typically villages let off kitchen and bathroom waters in the open drains. Now here, what happens is, now people have started using chemicals a lot, like Harpic and all the detergents, etc., are being used even in the villages. With that, the chemicals in the system disallows the growth of microbes, etc., and hence the challenges is much higher. So low-cost solution in nature-based is not, we've seen, not being effective enough, and we have examples which have failed in some of the villages in Gujarat, and that's really unfortunate. Though more than 50 to 80 lakh rupees were spent. So land is not a problem, but technology itself is it becomes unviable. And here, the engineers and managers have to sit together and come out with some solutions which are cost effective. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Professor, as you rightly mentioned, the recent technology towards the smart sensing and maybe digitalization and the distributed sensor may really help to pave the way towards water management, or even the other aspect about the water quality, water management, right? Do you wish to throw some light on that aspect, like how are we stand today in terms of the smart gadget or smart devices to manage the water challenges? If you or Mr. Jayanathan may throw some light.
Okay. May I go with this question?
Yes, please. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. As Dr. Manavita rightly said about the technology and also the changing nature of our wastewater itself, right? Because we have nature-based solutions, but at the same time, how do we make it appropriate, or how do we know that the solution is appropriate or not? It depends upon how we characterize our wastewater, right? Most of the time, the way we characterize the water, wastewater, at least in India, we stop with COD, BOD. I mean, it is all accumulated. It is all a accumulated parameter, right? It is a composite parameter. But what we have to know more is what else is there in the wastewater, right? That's where the personal care products comes in, the cleaning products comes in, the byproducts that are the chemical byproducts that are already there in wastewater that we don't characterize it effectively. So when we miss out on those information, we always miss out on the choice of the technology also, right? Because we do not know the information in first hand, we apply a technology and we see the technology fail. So that's where I think sensing technology is definitely a game changer, because there is a chance for us to know what is there in the wastewater, one. And the second thing is, many of our wastewater treatment plants, even if we take centralized treatment plants, I have to add that activated sludge process, the regular activated sludge process, nearly 50% of the energy requirement is primarily for aeration, right? We are pumping in a lot of oxygen, we are pumping in a lot of air, and the energy demand for treating a wastewater is quite high. And that's where effective control strategies comes in, right? Wherein we are not aerating much more than what we require. The optimal aeration is what we require, and when we do optimal aeration, we also do a lot of energy savings also. I think that's where sensing technology comes in, but sensors in combination with better control strategies is quite important, and that also helps us in better O&M outcomes, because we are not running a pump when it is not required to be pumping, or when it's not required to be aerating the wastewater. I think it is a cumulative process, and I would like to bring attention to the digital water program. And in fact, in our stall, we have the digital water reports that we have put up in our stall, and you are free to download and read it. There are, in fact, this is not an India-specific problem, right? This is a problem that is faced across the world. How do we make the water treatment much more energy effective? That is a question that we are dealing with, and I think that is a way forward. Especially in India, we are constructing STPs at a range that we have never seen in history, right? So I think that's very critical. The energy and the water nexus that is there, it's very critical for us to be observant about. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your inputs here. Professor Manavita, if you would like to add any points.
No, I just wanted to mention, and I totally agree with Mr. Jayanathan, that energy and water nexus is huge. Smaller cities and even class D municipalities and villages don't have enough electricity. Now, first would be you give electricity to the households or dairy and agriculture areas, and then you would think of employing that energy into such treatment facilities. So that's always the last bit. And unfortunately, grants to the in this areas are not coming in. So cities or villages are left to themselves to find solutions. There is not enough research and development happening, and hence my great appeal to this fraternity that we need to invest in research and development as much as we can think of, and there is a huge need here, and I welcome even IWA to take this call up, and we can really create a nexus and work towards it. Thank you.
Certainly,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Many thanks for your all inputs here. We had a couple of questions from our water segment. Now let us take up few questions from energy segment. One quick question to Dr. Akash Davda about electrical vehicle regulation and policy you mentioned about, and you said it will very soon be implemented by government of Gujarat. Akash, would you please mention about, would you please say what about vehicle to grid policy? Is there any regulation that vehicle owner can share or can sell the electricity to the grid at any point of the time when there is energy excess in a vehicle? Is there any policy towards that direction?
Not at this moment. So basically, what the government is intending is that we already have the FAME2 policy in place for electric vehicles, which is rolled out across the country. And to the top of it, around 15, 16 states have framed their own policy, which is more or less a top up to the FAME2. And the same is the intention of right now government of Gujarat, because we need to start with something. At least we don't have a state policy for electric vehicles. So essentially what is targeted is Gujarat government's the electric vehicle policy would be more or less an extension of the FAME2 policy. And I think at this moment the vehicle to grid is not there in it, and not in a regulation also. But soon, once the electric vehicle policy is in place within a couple of days, we would have the base to start with. Start with skilling, to start with vehicle to grid, to start with grid vehicle to vehicle. There are a lot of other things, the recent advancements which can be built upon once we have the policy in place. So we are just currently right now waiting for the policy, the base. And once the policy in place, we can always have add-ons and amendments to that. And then of course what you said is in our plan, but at the moment we would first like to have the base policy in place so we can build upon that, the various aspects in the e-mobility sector.
Okay, great. So the follow-up question to Mr. Srinivas regarding you mentioned about the blockchain integration for a transactive energy market. What do you see about the implementation at the industry and commercial customer level? And do you see any aspect about the regulation in place? So basically, how techno commercial or commercialization model works for the blockchain in a power sector?
Yeah. Dr. Naran, unfortunately, I missed a few, some of your question because there was a glitch in the net, I believe. But in general, your question was about the Energy 4.0 technologies and how the adoption in industry is, and techno-commercial aspects. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what I can tell is, at this point, all these Energy 4.0 technologies, which is blockchain, AI, ML, are still evolving. The industry naturally doesn't like to jump readily into anything that they still consider as evolving. So there is a lot of inertia in terms of are these the right solutions? Can they be, what kind of impact will adoption of such a technology have on the current running processes? What is the cost of these solutions? So naturally, from business perspective, they're mainly looking at cost viability, and robustness of these solutions when they're implemented. What we have seen though is a great enthusiasm from industry in learning more about these technologies. So when we approached industry on implementation of blockchain for, say, peer-to-peer energy trading use case, they had a lot more questions, not just about peer-to-peer energy trading, but about how blockchain can be implemented, for instance, in energy reconciliation aspects, as I said, at a substation level, wherein they want to see the energy import, incomer and outgoing from substation, and reconcile it at a real time. So they're looking at how blockchain as a technology, blockchain AI/ML as a technology can be applied for other industry use cases as well, which is definitely a good thing, in the sense now the industry machinery is just waking up, and they are now thinking about where else can this technology be applied, and they're ready to put in some money to see how the technology
Sure.
works, which is at least a good sign, right? I
Sure.
think the way industry will progress is uh,
Yes, so your input on how blockchain be the potential for energy sector is very well, uh, uh, that question is very well addressed. Thank you very much for your input, Senior. Thank you. With this, I think we are towards a closing of the panel session. I, on behalf of the Sustainability Fair event today, must thank all panelists and all attendees for their input and the question and answer session here. Thank you very much.